Thanks for tuning in to the Triple Drain Pinball Podcast. This is episode number 46. I am Joel Engelberth with my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
I'm Grant.
Okay, do our intro now. No?
Yeah.
Go for it. You got it?
Josh is like,
Oh,
what?
sorry.
Yeah, you do ours. Yeah.
Oh, Tom, what do you have to say?
I got a lot.
I know there's always a screw up at the
I got a
beginning.
lot to say.
There's always a screw up, and then Joel's like, "Never mind, I'm starting the show." So
Yeah.
We do have a big deal, though,
Yes.
right? We
A
have
big
the last
dildo.
package. No, well, yeah.
Oh,
wow. We have the last package from Spooky.
Big package.
Big package.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yes.
they sent us a package, and it clearly stated, do not open it until after they release the game. So all the content creators got all these packages. We got ours too. We had to wait till the podcast, but we got it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I
What
want
do
to
you
know
guys
what's in the
think
box.
it is?
Do you
What's
want to
in the
open it
box?
now? Show
What
the
do you
box.
think's
Show how
in
big
the
it
box?
is. Show
For
us
the
your
box? Ooh.
Oh, from Spooky Best
It even
Wishes.
says
With the hearts, yeah, or the
best
roses.
wishes.
wow.
Okay.
Especially
that
for
just-
you.
That's so
Oh, dear.
creepy.
I don't know
think
what's
it's gonna
Especially
be-
if
I
it's
think
from
it's
like
gonna be
Texas
like the-
Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
this
think
mystery
it's
meat in
something
there?
from Texas Chainsaw.
What's
Yeah.
in the box?
Wait, okay, so we'll get when we talk about Spooky. You saving it for then? Is that your?
No, we'll do it right after the
No,
intro.
we're doing it right now.
Okay.
Oh, we're actually playing. I wasn't planning on playing the intro.
No.
I just thought,
Oh,
out
yeah.
of respect,
Oh, that's true.
because this is a
It's true, it's
crossover
a
episode,
crossover
and I'm
episode.
telling you right now, I'm too lazy to mesh.
So it's like
two-
multiverse. We're
Yes.
both on Triple Drain and Loser Kid at the same
Yeah.
time.
We're
Yeah.
five guys that
Crossovers
like to
don't
talk
work, Joel.
pinball.
Have you ever
and
watched
we came up with a
TV?
clever name.
It just all that means
Joel, Josh,
is
Scott, Travis, Tom, Pinball.
my whole effort, guys, has finally paid off. The end
Mm-hmm.
of 2023. I've tried to get on Loser Kid now for like 5 years straight, and finally we're just meeting in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like the
Yeah.
little Oreo. So you want me to open this now then?
Well,
Yeah.
here. So
Okay,
what I will
okay.
say is, this is how good we are at intros. If you're listening to this on the Loser Kid channel, Tom, Travis, and myself, we are Triple Drain. We're Triple Drain. You'll find us on TPN or vice versa. If you're hearing this on the Triple Drain podcast, Loser Kid is on. Scott and Josh with Loser Kid. Same episode, two places. If you really love us, feel free to listen to it in both spots. But welcome. Hopefully it's a fun episode. We just wanted to team up and chat it up a little bit here at the end of the year, give everybody something fun to listen to over holiday breaks. So, Travis, please open
All right.
the box that Spooky
Quick
has
guesses.
sent you.
What could be in the box? I don't know if
I
you can hear
think
it.
it's the twirly chainsaw guy.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I-
Leatherface.
Well, it's not dripping, so I'm not going to say mystery meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be creepy. Okay, we're gonna open it. Oh, it's a piece of paper.
Ooh, maybe like a
dear.
design of the playfield.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a
Some
treasure hunt.
sketches.
I don't know. Okay.
Is it a recipe? Is it a recipe?
It's
Nice.
Michael Myers flipping off. It's Michael Myers flipping off.
I
the
thought
camera.
we weren't talking
Yeah.
about Halloween anymore.
Yeah. That is a solid bit, entirely created by Travis Murray, the only wearing the fake trees sweater.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Seriously.
So what?
Best thing ever.
Fantastic. So there's been a lot that's happened over the last few weeks, and one of the comments that I love reading is the fact that the majority of people that podcast only shill. We only speak positivity.
And we get money. We get money.
And we
too.
get money, and we get a lot of cutbacks because clearly what we say impacts sales. So if we help sell games, then clearly we're all getting checks.
I'm quitting my job next week.
Yeah.
I mean-
Tom and I are out of medicine.
I mean,
We're done.
yeah.
So
This is just so lucrative.
it was comical, at least in the conversation in the background, because we're like, what are you talking about? Like, Halloween is a perfect example of a game that I'm pretty confident all five of us said our opinions on, and they
Yeah.
weren't particularly positive.
Oh,
you
you
know?
remember Multimorphic Gate? Ooh, that was
Yep.
like
Ooh.
2 years ago now.
Talking about that, American Pinball has kind of been GTF. We were all hyped on GTF, and now we're kind of when we talked about Texas afterwards, we're like, hey, how was that tank? How was that tank on everybody?
Well, not only that, look at an Expo. Like Expo, we walked away from that. I haven't heard a positive thing about Turner Pinball or about Pinball Adventures or like.
Yep.
I don't know how we're shilling for them.
It's the eye of the beholder. And,
What about Stern?
The
Is there
messaging
any-
that goes out.
I haven't said very positive things about Venom.
Oh, I heard Venom is just flying off the shelves thanks to us pinball podcasters.
Yeah, okay, so that's why we haven't got our checks because we're not because
doing our
Venom
job.
hasn't.
You four
sold.
bozos need to help me sell more Venoms. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a shill that they took clips of my stream. Stern took clips of my stream and used it as marketing material.
Yeah.
Did I get a
Right.
check? No,
No.
I'm not getting anything.
Hey,
So-
Travis's translate wasn't even signed.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, we're already
Yeah.
going there.
yeah.
Well, so for the listeners, I don't know if you guys remember this on All Access for Stern. This happened like 2.5 years ago, March of 2021. They put it out, the Iron Maiden Pro Translite, signed by, I guess, Elwin and the team, right,
Mhm.
Scott?
Yep.
So
yep.
I'm not memory holding this. Like, I
no.
bought it.
And I still have it unopened. So I was surprised when I heard that Travis opened his and found
Nothing. I was like, it's just a translate. I'm
No
looking, I'm
signature.
like, where the F is
Yeah.
Keith's like?
It was just Michael Myers flipping you
Yeah,
off. That's
it's-
really
yeah.
what came in.
It was Keith Elwin. It was Keith Elwin with an Iron Maiden hat flipping you off. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I paid over, God knows how much that was at the time, $100+.
Yeah, it wasn't too crazy, but
Like,
it was you were
It was
paying a
supposed to be
premium.
for the game room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had it in the tube for 2.5 years. And I was waiting until I got settled in. I was going to put it up. I was all excited and it's not there. I'm just
Well,
what has happened here?
We should probably try to see if Josh and Scott can get it signed by Keith because I'm pretty
Yeah, that
confident
would be
after
nice.
our last episode, Keith might just be done.
He's-
He might be done with us. He might be
Or-
done with
Or
with
Stern
Triple Drain in
Pinball.
general.
I know
Yeah.
you guys are listening. Please help me get my translate signed by the team. I paid for it.
Yeah.
That's actually why we're doing a double crossover.
Yeah,
episode.
exactly.
It's
We're like, we really, you know what, Travis, I will sign your Iron Maiden.
Thank you. I
translate.
appreciate it.
Another random side note here. Last episode of Triple Drain was a malfunctioning mess in regards to Travis, which is a normal episode, but
I
it was
thought it went
extremely.
Mhm.
It was a whole nother level. And honestly, the silver lining of that is Tom shined. Tom Graff was on his A+ game. He crushed it. Him and Keith
Mhm.
could have they were just hitting it off.
Well,
I mean,
what people don't realize, Joel, because I didn't realize none of my video came through at the end, that I was sitting there the whole
Naked.
entire backside of the episode. Like, no, I was on the screen with them. They just couldn't hear me because I was so delayed, but I was there. And so instead, it's just a static image. of
it's
just me there.
perfect. It was
I
a
did-
good.
Hey, Joel, I
The
did
bus
everything I
was
could.
just you waving to us. It
Mhm.
was-
Yeah.
Hey,
So
I
was on
went
the
on the roof. I went
Actually-
down the street. I went to the garage. I went to the porch.
The only thing Travis saw was at the end of the porthole, them looking down saying it rubs the lotion on the skin. Or it gets the hose.
I say the reason your guys' numbers are so high, it's because Travis has become a betting game. I don't know if you know this in the background. We've got a pool going.
Yeah.
So the people at 5 minutes or less with El Gato No Signal,
El
you're already
Gato no
out.
Signalo.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big chunk of people leaving or getting knocked out in the first 5 minutes.
Mm.
10
Yeah.
minutes is coming up, so we'll see
Well,
what happens.
He said he might have finally installed the utility he needs.
I think I did it correct.
Ooh.
So
Nice.
we will know. We
The
will know
over
within the
is
next
find
20
out.
minutes. It's 30 minutes. Right at 30 minutes is when it shuts out.
All right.
It's
So,
fine.
but hey, okay. Well, enough of the backstory of this mess. Yeah,
Let's talk about
topics.
another mess.
Good transition,
Nice
Travis.
transition.
Look at that. Twippies. It's we were recording this on Friday morning. Will with the Twippies just put out a statement that essentially there will not be a live show at TPF. So there is no live show, live ceremony for Twippies at TPF. I think the plan is they're still going to do it. It's still going to be online voting. I think that voting opens next week. There's still online voting. Now, how they're going to share those results, whether or not it's a filmed segment or maybe a live table read stream, kind of like what Zach and Greg did the first 2 years of the Twippies. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. And then, well, we'll just start with that. So, thoughts.
Can I-
Thoughts? Go
Well,
ahead,
I
Josh.
wanted to give a quick thought on this because I want to preface this too. I don't know why this really hasn't been discussed. I did get permission to talk about this, and you guys know about this in the background. So originally, before everything was shut down, there were. I think this is what fed into the decision as well. There was a private message sent to the TWIP committee or Tppy, because TWIP and Tppy are very much separate. Reading this thing, But there was a message from a private chat about a plan to have Chris win the award. Like they were going to strive to have Chris. We're talking about Canadian's Pinball Podcast. Chris to win the award and make sure that Colin handed him the award, kind of as like, I'm rubbing it in your face. And then one of his followers had said,
"Be careful."
I know, had just said, just stab him when he does give you the award. And so I think that played into this. I think that's another reason too. Like when like it all got shut down, like when the content creator stuff, it got pushed to the side. I actually didn't hear this from the Tppy community. I had heard from other sources too. There was then a plan to hurt Colin coming up. And so I think this was part of the reason where they're like, you know what, we're just not going to do a live show and we're just going to record this because it's getting out of control. And that's personally me. If you haven't listened to the Eclectic Glamours podcast, their last episode, it perfectly articulated all of this. I know that they knew about this in the background. They were trying to dance around it without releasing this information. But like I said, I did get permission to talk about this. And so I don't know. I think this is why we're pulling the plug. It's not because of a particular podcaster or whatnot. It's because there's some crazies out there, and I have kids. I wouldn't want to go to one of these award shows and not come home to my kids.
Yeah.
People are just getting riled up. They obviously have nothing better to do at this point. It's just, it's too much toxicity around it. And I mean, everybody knows how I feel about award shows for us. Like, I think all of us content creators are knuckleheads, except for Tom. Tom's a beauty. But the rest of us, it's like, I don't know. I've never understood award shows for us. And it's always been odd to me that we're attached to the same thing that manufacturers that are multi-million-dollar companies are attached to the same exact award show. But like I told you guys before too, like I try to see it from both ways as well, why people are fully into this. And that's perfectly fine. For a lot of people, this could be their world championship, and that's perfectly fine too. But there's definitely a line that gets crossed when you start threatening that type of stuff. That's fully crossing a line, and you got to take every threat seriously. Like you have to. And that's just, sadly, that's the way the world works today.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think the last thing that TPF wants, the Tppys want, really anybody in pinball wants, is an award show where you're trying to celebrate the good or the exciting, the great in pinball, the best of the best in pinball, that somehow results in violence or aggression or some sort of protest or whatever. Like,
well, it's not even that. It's on top of that, it's that the drama outside of it exceeds like the actual award show.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so niche down too. There's only a small percentage of us that are even aware of the show. There's even a smaller percentage of us that even care about the show. They even want to go. You know what I mean? It's niche down so much. So it's like, why go through that headache? Because it's not easy putting on the shows either. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of effort to do that. So it's kind of just weighing your return.
Well, the nice part is
your
like
return on your time.
Tppy's actually like posted all their results for years now, and they switched from actually how many votes were being published to a percentage thing. But the last time they published votes, there was a total of 2,800 votes for the biggest category. And that's total. I mean, that's
that's small in pinball. I just giving you a snapshot onto sales. The vast majority of people who buy pinball machines or play pinball machines have no idea that this like niche content creator stuff is even possible.
Yeah.
And so like they
don't know.
A lot of them just buy stuff and just think about it this way. How many of you, I'll just pick out a random band. How many of you know Def Leppard or know their songs? Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, right? Okay. How many of you are members of their fan club and get emails and updates about what the band's doing right now? Okay.
I don't
Very
know.
Small, right? And so just think about that in percentage of how many people actually are playing pinball or associated with pinball versus even invested in. I don't want to undermine, because I think it is valuable to say, hey, we recognize in this niche that there is a winner and there's someone who is putting out stuff that is helping the industry or helping our entertainment value. But you need to take that with perspective.
Well, and just to put it into perspective too, we were talking about this behind the scenes. The active IFPA players right now, so this is if you've played one tournament in the last 3 years, is 42,500. That's just tournament players.
Yeah.
And then if you take combined Stern, American Pinball, Spooky Pinball, CGC, all their followers, they have over 1 million followers combined. So really 2,800 votes is kind of a drop in the bucket. It's kind of it's hard to put best content creator label on it when you're getting such a small snapshot of who's actually voting, in my opinion.
Well, that's true. I don't want to undermine the award either, because
True,
I
yes.
just think it needs to be taken
underplay it, or
right. I don't want to say
minimize
it doesn't matter at all, because it obviously matters to some and some more than others. However, to just keep it in, I said this before in the background, that pickup basketball game where a few people are way more aggressive than they probably should be.
Yeah.
And where there's a broken nose or an elbow or threats of burning their house down, or just whatever.
That's why I put Travis on our team when we do those games.
Right. Team Travis. But you just need to remember what this is, why it's there, and also social limits on, there's a reason, like Josh says and Travis says, there's a reason why people threat online, and whether or not that is intentional, you have no context, you have no information on how sincere this person is, if they are joking, if they are bonkers. And so you have to realize we need to be at least aware that this is going on. And if you don't think that actually plays into the psyche of the organizers and the peace of mind and the entertainment value, then you're crazy.
Well, I mean, let's go to the most sane person here, Tom. Can you wrap this up, or what are your overall thoughts? I mean, you're ranked real high in the IFPA. I mean, if you want to speak for all of them,
this doesn't
go
have
for it.
anything to do with the IFPA.
Yeah, this is not tournament. Yeah, Tppy is not tournament pinball.
And Travis is ranked higher than me, anyways. But I honestly don't think it was a good idea that they got rid of the nominations.
Okay.
I mean, me personally, sorry, my eyes are on my dog right now. But I obviously it's caused a lot of drama in the hobby, and it's escalating. And now the Tppys are gone from TPF, so now you're going to watch a show that's not live. So, unfortunately, some people are really concerned about a plastic trophy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
it's got wood
let's
too.
be honest, it's a plastic trophy. The same people have won it for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
Let's move
6.
on.
Yeah.
6, whatever it is.
What are you?
These are important, Tom.
What are you hugging, Travis?
His degenerate trophy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This means more to me than anything else.
Yeah, your 00. Yeah. No, I totally get it. And the reality is, I mean, I just don't see the point of it. Unfortunately, the media awards became a competition, and I don't see the point of that. I mean, none of us started podcasting to compete or claim that we're the best. I mean, honestly, we're doing a joint episode right now, and I hope the numbers come out equal. I mean, there's no Triple Drain's not better than Loser Kid. Like, I don't care. It's just, we just want to make sure.
For the record, Loser Kid is better. Go ahead, Joel.
Yes.
I was for the record, Triple Drain's better. So
I know, Travis, you really want to be a part of them, but it's just, you gotta just
I can't speak for Josh or Scott, but I know I could speak for Joel and Travis. We don't do this for a trophy. We do this because it's something we like to do and it's fun.
And we actually have we have different focuses on each of our shows. I mean, you have two, of the three of you, you have two top level players, and then you also have Travis.
Oh, okay. Got him.
Okay.
Got him.
Yeah. Bang, bazinga. Okay. Yeah. But Josh and I, we tend to be more of the fan side. We tend to get interviews. We tend to talk about things that are not the weekly things going on in pinball. We try to take a topic and talk about it. And so we have different approaches, but we legitimately, I think we probably have one of the most active text threads that I'm associated with, because we're talking all the time because we're friends.
The 5 of us, yes. And that's that. I don't know. That's my whole thing is, honestly, what I would say is if you're a listener, thank you first and foremost for being a listener.
Mhm.
But if you feel like, hey, these awards are important, these people need to be recognized for their work, honestly, the best thing you can do is shoot us an email or message us on Facebook, or share an episode. Like, hey, I love this. Like that's plenty. That's plenty of an award if you think we need any sort of recognition. Because I know at least the 5 of us, we go to shows, like to have people come up to us at shows and say, they enjoy the podcast, or thanks for doing it because you make car rides a little shorter. Like that's what it's all about. And sure, I would love all 5 of us to have a trophy this year for whatever, but
Best team up.
Yeah, best team up. But we don't need it. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's just a shame that the last 2 weeks have gone the way they have. I feel bad for literally everybody involved. You had people like Lucas and Emoto that were pumped, ready to go, ready to present. That live show is now done. Will Will's obviously making decisions that he thinks are the best for the community. Nobody's wanting to just tear this down. Same with Colin. I mean, and I understand Chris Kaneda, he's upset, but when you share that frustration, when you share that anger to the public, hoping that they support you in that anger, it festers and grows. And then all of a sudden that anger can become bigger than you ever thought it would be. Mm-hmm. And then people will get scared or hurt or intimidated. We don't need it.
I will say I get it from the standpoint of the content creators that do care about an award. Yeah, I get it, because you look behind me. I care about competitive pinball. I play. I work hard at it to try to compete. I travel for it. So I get that.
Hey, by the way, for people who aren't videoing, the humble brag is Travis just reached over to his gigantic awards.
He's got a lot of trophies.
But the point being is that there's plenty of people that play in pinball leagues, right? Mm-hmm. That have a ranking that don't care. Like they just want to drink beer. They just want to come have fun. And that's essentially what we are to the content creation world. And there's other people that want to try to be the high level player that want to try to win everything. And the Tppy's is literally their world championship. That's the way that I can make an equivalent of it. So yeah, it's a couple of things that go against each other, essentially, right? It's just like last year, I completely forgot we were even nominated. And then Joel, you had to come to the tournament room to remind me we were even presenting.
Yeah. And you weren't there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like
because he was competing for another trophy,
right? Yeah, exactly.
His focus,
which he thought he could win that one,
and Carl messed it up for me. Okay,
thanks, Carl.
Carl. But that's the point, Carl. Though. We all enjoy what we enjoy, and we enjoy it for the reasons that we do. So I definitely don't want to take that away. Just because some of us here, or maybe all of us, don't give a shit really about something else, somebody else may. So I get that part. It's just, to me, there's just better ways to go about it. And I think what's come out is that a lot of people they basically make it to where it's about celebrating the hobby, right? It's about celebrating the content creators. So if you're going to do that, I think that the way that they're doing it now is probably the best way to go about it. The only other way you could possibly do it when it comes to nominees and everything is make it a peer nomination. Only your peers that are within that category can nominate, like the top 5, and then let the fans vote or something like that, or let the public vote. I think that that's an easier way to do it, because then you end up making it to where it doesn't just come down to popularity, and it is what a fan vote is, but let's face facts. It's so niche that if you're playing the infinite game in content creation, you've been around for 8 to 10 years, you should be winning everything over somebody else that doesn't have the same resources. Or if somebody decides to spend $5,000 to $10,000 on marketing, you should win the little plastic trophy, even if you've only been around for 6 months. Yeah. Like, that's just the reality of it. It's about how you mobilize people.
Well, and to bring that to a point too, is like, even a couple years back when Super Awesome Pinball Show started to start marketing, they use their sponsorships, start sending out emails to say, hey, vote for us and stuff like that. people shouted it down because they felt like it wasn't truly winning the award. You were using resources. So what? There's been invisible barriers and lines put up around this. Like it's a very dramatic thing, and it's just kind of stupid. And it does come down to what you're all saying. What are you in content creation for? Are you in it for a trophy? Or are you in it to further in the industry? Or are you in it just so your voice can be heard? Why are you doing this?
I will give a little plug though. At the end of the day, we do support what Colin and Will are doing because there are more positives than negatives, and we would encourage you to go and vote your opinion when voting opens on, I think, the 16th, right?
18th, Monday.
18th, so
okay.
Monday. Yeah, and there is a new category. It is the favorite content creators. So they just kind of wrapped it all up into one, and then the caveat to that. Travis, how do you say that word? Because it's going to be wrong.
Caveat.
There, sure. Okay, so
Caveat.
Oh, okay.
How you pronounce it?
Yeah. So the favorite content creator, it's what they're saying is if you've won an award in the past, you're not eligible. So Straight Down the Middle can't win, TNT Amusements can't win, Canada can't win, Nap Arcade can't win. So what will be interesting there is, some of those people do crossovers. And so, or they do other things. So they may do a podcast, but then they also do a stream. So is the stream eligible, but the podcast isn't?
Joel's talking about himself.
Well, so Canada does Facebook Lives.
I think it's fair.
Could his live win?
Let the categories be their own thing.
Yeah.
Like if you do a different show, that's a different show.
The pinball show, could he win? It's like, so I'm very curious to see how that pans out. But there is something there. So if you do have a media, a creator, whatever it is that you want to vote for, Graf is spelled Graf. So Tom, Tom, Graf. I don't know if it's right in. Just find the drop down, and we'll make it happen. Tom's chugging.
Tom's already hitting it. It's 9 in the morning, Tom.
Let's go, Tom.
Okay.
For him, it's 10. He's closer to lunch than we are.
It's Mountain Dew for those.
That means he's ready to talk about Spooky.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good on that. We'll wrap up. We'll tie up the bow on Tppy. So voting starts Monday. Let's see how that goes. Okay. Spooky Pinball. Let's actually. I'm gonna let Josh and Scott introduce this because you guys just recently interviewed him. So go for it.
We released this not even 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
About 24 hours to the point, like to the mark. Bug and Spooky Luke came on the show to talk about their new releases. They released tandem games. They're the same layout, but entirely different codes and rules and all that stuff. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Looney Tunes, which is a pretty opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to licensing.
Yeah.
Besides, they're both violent, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. But Warner Brothers has always been on the cartoon comic violence size.
Yeah.
And going from our interview, we kind of try to hit all aspects. We talked about quality control. We talked about the playfield layout. We talked about art and the artists that came forward with it. So if you haven't listened to that one, we give you a recommend. And it's 126 is our episode, so give that a listen. But yeah, Spooky released 2 new games, and honestly, I like the looks of the layout. I think this is probably their best shooting layout they've made so far.
Yeah, sure. The layout looks very. It's a callback to a 90s layout. A 90s Bally Williams layout. And so if that's what your thing is, I would give it a flip. I'm always concerned about small companies and reliability because I'm not a mechanic. I don't have the kind of time to work on my games. And so that's my only concern. However, it looks good. It looks fun. And I give it an optimistic review without having played it yet.
Remember, we're shilling, Scott. You've got to pump these numbers up so we can get a check from Spooky. Come on now.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the neutral person here. Tom, you don't shill. We know that. Tom is pure.
I have no sponsorships.
Tom, throw theme out the window. You're looking at the shots layout. What were your thoughts on toys, Max, all that? But throw theme out. What are your thoughts?
Throwing theme out, I thought the shots and Max looked very interesting. Like I liked them. I like what was presented. 3 ramps.
4
ramps.
4 ramps.
Well, I guess I should look at the stuff before I talk.
Isn't it 4 ramps?
4 horsemen.
Is it? I thought it was.
How many ramps do you think it is, Joel?
I thought it was 4. I know there's 4 wire forms, 4 flippers.
It's
There's
4.
for
There's,
sure. Yeah.
I will be the voice of reason. It's 4. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Oh, we're in trouble.
Sorry, Spooky.
Thank you, referee.
I have a lot going on in my life right now. Sorry. So
many women. So many.
So, yeah. So little time. Yeah, I like how they incorporated some things like the drop targets, the subway behind it, the scoop behind the drop targets. What I didn't like was like the shot goes like right into it from what I saw from the stream. So I thought that was kind of weird. But other than that, the layout looks interesting. I got to play it though to really get a feel for it. I did not buy one, Joel, because I know you're going to ask me.
No, I wasn't. No, I will agree with a lot of that. I would say what when we saw Halloween and you see the elevators, it's like, okay, what's that going to be about? Like you see that, like, how's that going to feel? Or you see Spooky, you see that huge upper play field. You're like,
Right.
Okay, that could be same with the bookcase kind of flipper. It's like that could be really cool, or it could suck. Like, there was these big question marks. Watching this reveal, I didn't have that. It's like, okay, there's no mech here that I see concerning. It's more of a I'm excited to give this a shot. Tom has another thought. I can see.
Let's do a comparison. Let's compare this layout to Venom. What are your thoughts?
There's more.
There's a lot more. I mean,
well, Travis needs to sell Venom. So Travis, you go first. What you compare the two?
Sorry, remember I don't have any.
You want me to compare the two? So I will say this. If I was looking, like, just to answer how Tom got to answer, if I was looking at this as a whitewood, I would be excited to flip it. And I think that's why I told you guys too, like, this is a dynamic layout that looks interesting. Like it looks so much better than what they put out before, because you see, it's almost like you took Twilight Zone, you took Shadow, you took a little bit of Elwyn, and you just put it all together. You definitely see elements of all 3 of those games in this. So it's just, I think it just further shows that these are just the more interesting layouts. But at the same time, we do have to accept that when you get more mechs and you make things a little bit more intricate, it does cause issues potentially in the future. So that'll be interesting to see how the games hold up, especially on location or anywhere else. But I like where this is going. It looks interesting, and I'll say straight up, this play field and this design looks way more interesting than what Venom is. And that's just because, to me, when I look at this play field, I don't think the game's going to play easy at all. Like, I'm excited as somebody that wants a challenge. I'm excited to play the game for that reason. With Venom, you get a fan layout. Fan layouts are not difficult to play. They're just not. They're very casual friendly. You get it's very much flow based. I mean, that's an overused term in pinball at this point, but the shots are just easy. It's where you expect them to be. So something like this that's a little bit more dynamic, that you got the left ramp closer, you got 2 right ramps that are, a little bit further back. You got shots in the back. You have a loop up top.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be easy just to do all the time. I mean, sure, in promo videos and stuff like that, you see it going over and over again, but a lot of that depends on the player. It depends on the setup. It depends on a lot of things. So yeah, when I see this, I don't see an easy playing pin. And I think you can kind of tell with the code too, with the way it was. I was kind of lost on the rules.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they went fairly deep, but you could tell that they had ball saves in very certain areas, out of the scoop, out of the captive ball, and out of the door. Those 3 things. So they've somehow acknowledged that, hey, the ball could become chaotic and drain. They don't want you to end up, losing your ball quickly either. So I don't know. I'm interested to see it. It's almost like, I wonder if so I told you guys before, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it doesn't do anything for me for a theme. Looney Tunes, I think that's a much better theme to go. And it's interesting how Spooky's either a horror theme or they're cartoons.
Drastic.
Like, there's no in between anymore.
Yeah.
That's what they are at this point. And it's clear that, I don't know, I think the cartoon way to go it's just much better overall, in my opinion. Like, I get why they do the horror thing. They got to stick with spooky, but I don't know. It's just niching down so much. It can still be done well, but I'm also curious how this type of layout under Looney Tunes, like, how are families going to adjust to that? Because I don't think little Billy's not getting on this pin and ripping shots. I mean, it's not going to happen.
It's not as easy as Scooby-Doo, right?
There's no way. I guarantee this is probably their most difficult playing pin since TNA. Like, I look at this, I think it'll be more difficult than even Rick and Morty. Because, I mean, the game's designed for you to go horizontal a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what happens. If you go horizontal, you're out of control.
Find out lanes.
Yep.
And
those are difficult to hit.
A few small thoughts I had was, when you have a layout, when you have a theme like Looney Tunes, you would want it to be kid friendly. And that's Turtles. Turtles got ripped to shreds for that. That it's like you took a kid's theme and you made a brutal pin.
You made Walking Dead. Yeah.
So that's fine, but I think it was one of us that interviewed Keith, and Keith was talking about his frustration with safe shots, his frustration that there's this need for all games have to be coded for this crazy depth. So if a game's crazy deep, then the layout has to be safe enough for you to be able to experience that depth. If you make a brutal pin, people are pissed. And so a lot of that involves shots that return to the flippers in some sort of safe manner. Right. And that's the one thing that stood out to me on this game is there's 4 flippers, but every ramp feeds a flipper. So as long as you hit a ramp, it's a safe shot. You are feeding a flipper in
it's a safe return.
A safe return. Okay.
So most ramps really are safe returns, though. I mean, how many ramps do you know that puts that?
You got to see Joel play. He'll bust that myth really fast.
So one is this game right here behind me, Elton John.
Okay,
Elton John, that left ramp, that return does not feed the left flipper. It just the wire form just stops halfway and the ball just rolls towards the left.
Like a high speed return.
Exactly.
Like that.
So it's, to me, it's like, I like it because it's somewhat safe.
Okay. But that's uncommon.
Star Wars Episode 1 too.
Yeah. Jeez.
No,
I was not expecting that hate.
That is uncommon for sure.
But no, this is that I like the feedback here because I think, good on them for removing the upper play field and actually having a game that looks, I'm not saying it in an insulting way, but it's clearly a game that people want to shoot. There's a lot of shots here, seeing how it flows together, watching Bug stream it. He was able to combo a lot of different random shots. And even, the fact that the under the flipper shot feeds an orbit that then feeds another upper flipper. And, the last game that really kind of had this type of flow was like Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, the way that really comboed together in different shots and people ate it up. So I think there's a chance that this layout will be very well received from Spooky. But now it comes down to the code. And the code, what's really interesting there is completely different code teams, completely different code packages. So, if Texas Pinball,
Texas Pinball Massacre,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre ends up being too grotesque for you.
Right.
Well, is the spooky, I wonder if the spooky code will be family friendly, if it'll be a lot more approachable, a lot more, easy to get into modes or achieve whatever.
Family friendly mode on Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Is there an adult? Can I turn off adult content? Yeah. It's just a black screen.
Yeah.
And
just has screen credits rolling.
Blanket over the game.
And the GI just goes pure white. There's no more red. And it's, I don't know. Josh, what are your thoughts?
I think you guys are all spot on. I don't know. I don't know. I agree that we're just doing spooky and cartoon themes over and over, but really that's kind of their niche and no one else is going for it. So if that's
and they should, by the way, they should be going for that. Stop just doing dad rock pins. You can do stuff like this.
But the reality is
Tom,
too is
what's Tom gonna buy? I don't.
Spooky is one of the consistent top players in the industry. Even if you're looking at their numbers and they're not as high as what you think other manufacturers are. They're more consistently. The Scooby-Doo came out this time last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see CGC's not releasing a game once a year, and Americans having a tough time.
Not,
you got to give them props to be consistent within their threshold of what they're doing too. So
Okay, watching the layout, by the way, I just have I have it on loop playing behind me. I'm gonna say it, and I think that you will agree with me. If you look at the way the dynamics work, it actually really reminds me of Simpsons Pinball Party. Like the shot locations are very similar, and Simpsons isn't an easy game. It's super deep, but it's still consistently one of the games that everybody who comes over to my house, they always start it. So that seems to bode really well, and they seem to have fun doing it. The shots are more challenging, but it doesn't seem to be as much of a drain monster as some other ones.
Yep, that could be it. Do you think some of it is theme also? Because they see
Simpsons?
Yeah. Like if you get a non-pinball person, they see it, like they can identify
100%.
You know what I mean?
I've always said theme is king. Like that's weren't you saying that hey, there's been an uptake in interest in Led Zeppelin, and we know it's not the layout.
Those go like hotcakes.
Yeah, and it's not the layout.
When Stern did the closeout and I saw everybody else closing out, I was like, oh, this is going to be a mistake. And yeah, they're selling like crazy for Christmas, and no more is going to be produced. But it's like anything else. Somebody discovers pinball. Yeah, it's the first time that they've seen the themes. It's not like they've seen it for 3 or 4 years.
So if you're a big fan of Monopoly, there is a game for you.
Yep. But that's why I do wonder though, like what this layout would have been under different circumstances away from the themes that they're using. You know what I mean? Because they've been using Warner Brothers themes, right? It seems like that they're going down that path. Yeah. So what's the major cartoon that's associated with Warner Brothers that was all part of our childhood? You guys got to think a little bit deep, but I think this would be
Batman
a big theme for. There you go.
Batman the Animated Series.
I'd say Johnny Bravo.
Okay,
no, that's Cartoon Network.
That was in college.
Batman the Animated Series.
That would be awesome.
Imagine if Looney Tunes was that instead.
Yeah,
they would have sold 2,000 plus of those easily. Like I don't know if that theme's easy to get. I have no idea how it works, but that to me, that's the cartoon that's staring everybody straight in the face, that everybody identifies with, that everybody knows the characters already. But still relevant today.
Do you think we're getting superhero fatigue though? I mean, look at Venom, or is Venom just like its own?
Nobody cares about
Venom's a C-list.
Like,
sorry, Howdy.
I mean, Batman's up here. Venom is somewhere here.
Keep lowering.
You talk superheroes in general. It's like you're basically like Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. Like they're all right there at the top. And I know Travis's view on somebody needs to make a new Spider-Man.
The multiverse. Absolutely.
The multiverse.
Oh, that would have been so good.
I agree. But to me, people have asked me that. Any content creator, it's what would be your dream team? And the answer was Turtles. But now that Turtles has happened, Batman the Animated Series, right there at the top. Tom's got his Rush. Tom could stop with pinball. He's good. Scott, you got Rush. You guys are good. Check the box.
I got Rush and Iron Maiden, like the two bands of my childhood.
Yeah, you're good to go. Travis's dream. What's your dream team? Like Dirt?
I mean, I pretty much got them all. I think what's
Travis,
intriguing.
Okay, but be honest. Barbara Streisand, yes, no. Yentl, the pin. Is that?
If it's the South Park version, I'm all in.
South Park. That's right. That makes sense.
Make a Streisand.
No, it's a good point. It's a really good point. And Spooky's done a really good job with licensing. So I mean, they know that they're not making original themes. They know day one it's going to be the license that helps sell their pins. And honestly, I think I haven't heard specifics or whatnot. I would be very curious. There's 888 Texas Chainsaw Massacres and 888 Looney Tunes. If I had to guess, I bet it's like 2-1, like Looney Tunes to Texas, if not even more than that. That would be my guess.
They said it was pretty close when we talked to him, and I know this is a few days ago. It said that I think Looney Tunes just barely was ahead. Do I remember that correctly, Josh?
Yeah. Yep. 2 days ago when we recorded. Yep.
Yeah, and so they actually, I think they nailed being able to say, hey, we got the ultra horror theme for our hardcore fans, but we also have this thing. And really, Bugs Bunny is a great theme. And maybe it's a little older than your generation because you guys grew up on something else. But my generation, that is like when you're 50, you're pushing that 50-year-old category. Bugs Bunny was king. They were
Mhm.
by far the best cartoons out there for my generation, unless you get into like the 80s with like Thundercats and GI Joe
Sure.
and whatever.
I would say my last thought, at least on Spooky, is I think it's smart that they do the double playfield. From a part standpoint and everything like that. The problem is, in my opinion, it's always somewhat obvious which game they prioritized. So in this instance, it's clear they designed everything for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the big standout for me was the meat grinder. The meat grinder is a brilliant mech for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but then to just kind of reshell it and put it as a rocket ship, the way that screw is still built into the rocket ship, it bothers me. It probably
It's a
shouldn't, but it does.
grinding
Yeah,
rocket
it's
ship,
like
Joel.
I'm like, that's not. And then people talk about Taz, like Taz needs to be faster than that. So could they have splurged and got a different motor? Like you do or buy the fast motor and then put a restrictor on it in some way for, like, to me, I get it. That those are probably business decisions that I can't make. But that's my only thing that bothers me. I think they made a brilliant move to change the code and to change the inserts. Like they are making them feel more individual pins, but I still feel they did a good job with the girl popping out of the fridge. Obviously, I'm glad it's not like Wile E. Coyote popping out of a box. They completely changed that mech.
Well, Josh and Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say on your guys' podcast that they pretty much designed these side by side?
That's
like
what
they
they were
didn't
claiming.
have one. At least
Yeah.
that's what they're saying,
Yeah,
right?
That's what they said.
So then
Well,
so we got to go. Well, Joel, here's the point though. We got to go off what they say, right?
Yeah.
But here's the unique thing. Still though, it's you look at it. So let's say that they did that side by side, right, guys?
Yep.
And you look at it, it feels like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is very much all in on theme, assets, everything. You don't get that same feeling looking at the playfield for Looney Tunes. Like I think and I agree with you, Joel, on that. That's why it feels like things or decisions were made based off what is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, it's clearly that's the one they're more passionate about. Like we've talked about this before, that pinball designers, Stern has turned down themes because they don't have a designer that's in love with it.
Yeah.
And it's clear, like Bug has made it very, very apparent what he is in love with, and it's horror themes. So
that's the unique thing about pinball. There's a lot of people that make things and code things according to what they like, and maybe not necessarily what the end consumer likes. It's unique like that, but I get it. It's hard to do a project if you're not all in, because it obviously takes up a lot of your time. But I would be very interested to see what would happen if stuff was done with the end consumer in mind to get the most mass appeal to it, because I don't know if pinball does that well enough yet. I'm not sure. I mean, each individual would have to answer for themselves why they code a game the way that they do. Why did they design a game the way that they do? Why did they come up with the ideas that they have? Because it's something like what I think would be fun for me, I don't know if that would be fun for the end consumer. So it's the same way. Like I like this layout because I think it's going to be challenging for me. But just like I alluded to, what the hell is little Billy going to do with Looney Tunes when he's getting drained left and right? And even Joel could kick the dog crap out of him. Like what's going to happen?
Little Billy
then?
has no chance. I got him.
Yeah, little Billy's not going to like Looney Tunes anymore. You got to put rubber bands on that.
Rubber bands.
So, so I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of times too, you got to consider your end consumer and your target audience also in this equation before you go too far deep. And that's not talking about like what Spooky's done. Like I like what they've done, but I think that's just pinball in general, right? Across the board. Like how are you coding the games? Why are you putting the rules in that you are?
Mm-hmm.
Like not everybody's going to see wizard modes. Not everybody's going to understand multipliers, the 2x, the 4x times the 16x. It's just, it's a unique thing. I think it's a unique problem for pinball to have, that it's difficult to solve, right?
Yeah.
To appeal to the masses compared to us knuckleheads that do want to dive deep. Like, how do you find that happy medium?
If there was an easy answer to that, all the games would have it, but it's not. That is something that that's how I evaluate a lot of my, people give me crap because I say friends and family, but like friends and family, that really matters to me. That if you step up to the game and it's not easily, clear of some objective, it's just, you're trying to get these people to fall in love with pinball. And if they can't fall in love with a machine or can't experience a machine, they tune out. And And hey, we don't say anything bad. We don't say anything bad about pinball machines, and we only shill. But Venom was a game that I couldn't. There was nothing when I had the game here. I enjoyed the game. My brother enjoyed the game. Every other person that stepped up to that game, there wasn't anything obvious for me to show them that was going to hook them in 30 seconds or less. And on the 3 games behind me right now, Godzilla, not a problem. You got that big old building. Cactus Canyon, you got Bart, just shoot the guy in the head, like watch his hat go up. And even Elton John, there's a little alligator on that game and a crocodile, and I was not expecting my 3 and 5 year olds to freaking love that alligator,
The crocodile,
and he bounces.
Rock,
It goes back to visual.
Yep.
You put something up the middle, right, or less than 45-degree angles. Visually, that's an indicator to somebody that you got to go that way, because we are trained through anything that we do straight ahead, right? Movies straight ahead, driving straight ahead, podcasting straight ahead. That's the way we're trained. So you put something there. Yeah, Scott's going to look to the side. But yeah, that's why you put something up the middle, right? It makes so much sense. Right. Think about, I tell you guys this all the time.
Okay,
why is World Cup soccer?
It's the easiest shot. Straight up, up the middle is the easiest shot. The hardest ones are the... you have to wait on the flipper. It takes a little more challenging. So
Josh's phone just fell down. So we're looking at his keyboard here. There he is.
Hey, Elgato. Hey, we got our first Elgato. No drop.
I don't know why my camera's freaking out.
Yeah. We're at 51 minutes. And Travis's camera's still going.
Josh is the new Elgato.
I'm the new Elgato.
El Dropo. More.
So here's we can compare this though with Texas Chainsaw and Looney Tunes, right? So let's say all of our wives want to play a game, right? How many of them are going to choose Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I don't.
0.
Yeah,
if
I
they
don't think
do,
my wife's going to pick it.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, if that's at one leg in my house, my wife would just go ballistic.
I've already told Zach that obviously I'm happy to stream whatever, but I said honestly, if Texas Chainsaw Massacre shows up at the house and I have to stream it, I'll probably have to put the head down.
It's in the garage
and put a blanket over it. Yeah. Anytime the kid that's crazy. And I mean, I think I was going to ask this earlier, but between the 2 themes, I'm assuming if Spooky reached out to all 5 of us and they're like, we want to give you a game, what do you want? I'm pretty sure 5 for 5 we're all picking Looney Tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just that's where we're at. But
100%. I don't want to raise any future serial killers or anything like that.
Well, so to their credit though, the up the middle shot, I mean, it's straight up the Shadow Sanctum lock is what they did. Yep. And that's an awesome mech, awesome lock. So that magnets, people love magnets. So as long as you can get into that door and experience that in 1 or 2 hits, that's a good move. Yep. And then the fact that if hopefully locking a ball in the meat grinder or locking a ball in the rocket ship, hopefully that only takes 1, maybe 2 shots to the rocket before the first one happens. That would be smart. Just give us a little taste of the mechs quickly.
It seemed like they took forever on Bug's stream. When he showed it off, it seemed like it was a lot of wood chopping.
Yeah, hopefully they can find a balance there, because somebody said it was actually, I think it was Ryan McQuaid, who now works at the Sonic guy who works at American Pinball. He said, what pisses me off is when people hide code behind mechs, or maybe it's the other way. They hide mechs behind code. Because when you step up to a game, the thing you notice are the mechs. So it's, how do I get to the upper playfield? And if to get to the upper playfield is 6 shots, there's a lot of people that are never going to experience that upper playfield.
Well, your mech needs to be your quote unquote bozo area. What that means is anybody's going to go after it. If you don't know anything else, you're going to go after it.
Okay, this is Lord of the Rings Balrog. The Balrog has to come out almost every game. Because otherwise you're just looking at it as why is that even in the game?
Sure.
Well, that's what's funny too. Going back to Keith Elwin, his first game was Iron Maiden. Yeah, it's up the middle, you're hitting the target. But going on to Jurassic Park, he wasn't ever going to put the dinosaur in there. And then Gary walked him and was like, no, you need to put something like that in there.
You need the dinosaur, yeah.
You need the dinosaur.
And the moving dinosaur.
Yep. And so Gary's thing has always been, there's got to be some kind of mech. There's got to be something that draws to you. And it has to be easily accessible by code. I don't care if it gets buried in code, but the first 3 shots or whatever have to be able to advance.
You should be able to
mech.
activate the cool thing.
Yeah, within the first 30 seconds to a minute.
And I totally understand how challenging that has to be for a designer, because when I look at Venom, I think what they did is actually really, really cool. And the mechs that they have in the premium and LE to change the entire layout of the playfield is really, really cool. But unfortunately, the amount of coils that are needed and the amount of mech that's needed to do that, they really don't have. I mean, Doppelganger's the closest thing, but they really don't have that bozo standout mech. And it suffers because of that. And so it's like, if people can look past that, the game is there, but for the casual people that are just going to step up, they missed it. And if we look at like Foo Fighters, it has the Overlord area, which is a easily achievable shot for anybody. Yep. But I mean, there's a lot of other games, like Led Zeppelin didn't really have anything to grab you. Even like Avengers Pro didn't really have anything.
The Captain Marvel shot visually looks really cool,
but that's a premium, and
right?
That's where
that's my point. And imagine if you designed a playfield and it was a high level playfield and it was all subways. It's like a bingo game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, it would take skill to be able to hit the right holes and to actually do it, but pinball is a visual, physical, sensory interaction. So everything goes into it. But we all know that the visual aspect of the ball doing something cool takes precedence over almost everything except for theme.
Yeah. Tom, you're good at hitting the right holes. What are your thoughts on
Meanwhile,
on what we're talking about,
on just layouts with mechs and trying to
stuff like that. Like, I mean,
if you wrap it back to Spooky, I mean, stuff to draw anybody they step up to this game. What are they
like you guys have been talking about? I mean, Venom just doesn't do it, and Spooky kind of, I don't want to say hit a home run, but they hit a triple at least. I mean, if I'm comparing the two games and they're out at the same time, there's no question I would pick Looney Tunes over Venom.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you definitely want to have a game that dangles
just
the character
solely on layout.
Yeah, that shows you. I mean, there's definitely been games that I've stepped up to, put a quarter in or whatever, go to dollar, go to play, and then it's like, crap, I never like Big Lebowski. It took me 2 or 3 games to experience the bowling alley, but that's it's like, what do I have to do? How do I qualify that? Like, that's what I need. That's what games need to draw you in. So I think Spooky, I'm excited for this layout. I'm excited for what they put in the game. We've seen gameplay on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is brutal and disgusting and crazy, but they crushed it. They crushed the theme. And we'll just have to, I don't know. I know I think people will enjoy it. If that's a dream team for you, I think they've done a really good job. Ton of assets, ton of everything. Looney Tunes were still kind of a wait and see on that. A big part of that is Eric Pripke. He's the guy. He did Rick and Morty's code. He is currently doing Labyrinth's code. As somebody who's played a lot of Labyrinth, I really, really enjoyed the code on that game. So and then Rick and Morty's a brutal game.
He's doing the whole code on Labyrinth?
I think so, or leading it or something, but it's...
At Phil Grimaldi?
Phil Grimaldi's doing, was rules. Like, I don't think Phil's coding the game, but okay. Eric is the guy coding the game. So I'm just saying, if I really enjoyed Rick and Morty, even though it was brutal, I've really enjoyed Labyrinth. So I have faith that I will personally probably really enjoy Looney Tunes, depending on what type of, if Eric continues to do what he does. But that's definitely a wait and see situation. So
yeah,
I don't know. I would say, if you haven't heard the Loser Kid podcast, I haven't had a chance to listen to it. It came out yesterday. Definitely give that a shot. But any other thoughts on Spooky? Anybody?
No.
Let's move on to industry.
No. My one last thought was they powder coated the ramps.
Yeah,
and I'm very curious to see
powder and clear coated. Okay, so
okay,
they actually did bring that up. They said powder and clear coated, and they even said in their testing they haven't had any issues with that, and they did push their support. They said if there are issues, we'll send you out a new ramp.
Okay.
And
okay.
so-
Good.
so
that was yeah.
They did listen and address that concern.
Wonderful. Okay.
Anybody ever see problems with clear coat before?
Never.
Okay. Well,
On
okay,
wood, Tom.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying. You guys are.
At least
You
they're
guys are
aware.
like, it's a fix. It's
no,
good.
at least they're aware of the criticism, and at least they have a plan if it fails. So
Well, here's
good on them.
Tom, we only shill. Okay,
That's
only
right.
Oh,
shill.
I'm sorry.
We're
I'm
only
sorry.
positive.
You know,
and
I will say, I will
but-
say, as probably the only spooky owner here in the building.
TNA's
I
right
do
there,
it-
baby. Right
Yeah,
there.
whatever.
It's
got-
right there.
I got a game with actual ramps on it. Okay.
Oh.
Rick and Morty, like the playfield is immaculate. The clear coat is immaculate. I mean, it's probably the best clear coat in the industry by far.
Yeah, I'm.
They
Unfortunately, I have one of
figured
the-
So
that out.
hopefully
yeah.
that translates over
They-
to the ramps.
Yes, they. So the TNA I have is an early-ish run, and I actually have clear coat issues, but they've since solved that. So
There's no such thing as a clear coat issue. You were
none.
just saying that, Joel.
Not anymore. But I will say, as podcasters, right? We only shill. We speak positive. But if there is a problem, it's our responsibility to hold the industry accountable. Okay, because our voice matters. That's how it works. That's how
we move the needle.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Speaking of moving the needle, market. We wanted to just kind of do, and maybe before we get into the sales spot, I think an interesting question. We can go around the circle here. Because we have about a half hour. Tom has a shoot he's got to go to. His modeling
It's a
career
photo
is
shoot.
just,
Yeah.
just it's
Taking off.
You're going to visit your son, right, in college?
I'm gonna go pick them up.
Yeah, being a good
Nice.
dad. Say hi to Neil. Dad, feed me dinner. Yeah. So my question here is 2023. What was something within pinball that was like the biggest surprise to you, if that makes sense? Kind of quick thought.
Oh, I got something.
I would say if I'll go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yeah, go ahead.
Geez, Tom, settle down.
Yeah, sorry
Oof.
to interrupt.
Tom Graft is my biggest surprise. How just go ahead, Tom.
No, go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, I was going to say
I'll have something better to say. Go
my
ahead.
biggest surprise, honestly, is Elton John. Elton John, it's a tie between Elton John and Labyrinth, but Elton John was a game that I'm just being a shill. But no, that game, maybe my biggest surprise is what I underestimate is how incredible an art package can just draw you into a game. This was a theme I did not care about at all. And the moment I saw this game at Expo, it was like, holy crap. Like it just sucked you in visually of like, I want to experience this game. And just the whole experience of the art package, the audio, the light show. It's just that game. I've been playing the heck out of that game. And it's not, the layout's fun. The rules are very approachable, but I just think Franchi and JJP crushed it with just the whole audio and visual audio and visual experience to just suck you in. So I don't know. That was the biggest surprise. Like genuine. I had very low expectations and actually really sucked into that game. So let me shill it, sell it. I need my commissions check. Go buy an Elton John. I will. If this game is in your game room, it will stand out. Everybody that's seen it in person will agree. That game legitimately stands out.
I would take it, by the way. Like it's on my
you are
short
a
list.
shill, Joe.
Yeah. Commission check. I'm ready.
It's
Yeah.
on my short list of games that I am interested at, and I've said at a different price point. But it would be a long-term keeper for me.
It is incredibly accessible. Honestly, the code, most JJP games, you fall into a multi-ball or the code is so complex you can't understand it. There's kind of three main multi-balls that you can pursue at any time. There's songs going on in the background. If you care about points, you can focus on wardrobe items. Otherwise, you're really not getting bogged down by a lot of other stuff. It's just kind of a pure do these things and you're going to see more of the game. There's no real modes. It's just songs and I don't know, just play. That's what I like about it is I'm not overthinking it. You just play. So it's a good, if people are all in on JJP, this game will definitely feel different than the other JJPs in your collection, but in a good way. It's very good. So that's my surprise. Tom is ready. He's locked and loaded, ready for.
That was a huge surprise.
Thanks, Tom. Jeez.
Biggest surprise of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Pulp Fiction was announced and shown at Texas Pinball Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they?
That's a surprise.
That's the big surprise. Yeah.
That's the.
Well, they were supposed to be released in Q3. So
True.
you tell me.
I think we all knew, though. We all said when they threw out October, I think all of us were like, "Ha, well, okay, yeah." But hey, I don't want to take away your surprise, Tom.
Right.
If this really, I get it. Josh Sharp, right? That's who you, not Josh.
So you're not surprised that
yeah.
they don't have Pulp Fictions out yet?
No, because CGC's involved.
They're still running Cactus Canyon.
I would be more surprised if they had it out before TPF of 2024.
Yes.
Apparently they're I think we have heard they are like building assemblies, but I don't necessarily know. Maybe they're waiting to start shit. I don't know.
That
Nobody knows.
Equal a pinball machine.
Nobody knows.
There's more to pinball than just assemblies.
Yeah. Well,
this is the same company that announced like in 2022 that they were coming out with Cactus Canyon, and then at the same time was like, by the way, we're going to do more Medieval Madness January 2023, and crickets. Like,
yep.
So
okay.
I got a better surprise.
Oh, surprise!
Okay.
Let's go. Round two.
Tom with the double
Alien
surprise. Let's
Ripley
go.
edition.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
I even got Travis's attention on that.
Yeah.
one.
He
That's a good surprise.
I think that's a good move by Pinball Brothers, and
I think it's a great move.
they're going to sell more games
for everybody, but the distributors that had the original LEs in stock.
They're
Yeah.
stuck.
Those-
They are really stuck
They're
unless they find a way of retro arting that, or I don't even know how to say that.
You can buy all the add-ons.
I mean, you can still put the code
Yeah.
on your old
Yeah.
game.
You can put the code on the old games.
As long
and you
as
can
it's a
buy
Pinball
all-
Brothers game. That's the key.
Yeah, you can buy all the add-ons. You can buy all the art. You can buy all the add-ons. But unless Pinball Brothers just gifts those to the distributors and be like, here, give these. I just don't. It sucks that they have games that are technically more expensive than the Ripley edition that have less in them. Like, what do you do? What do you do with that? So,
Welcome to the hobby in 2023, everybody.
Yes. Solid surprise. I think Travis is writing something down.
His
No,
surprise.
I'm just taking notes off the podcast. It's for my memoir that's coming out soon.
Oh God, all 4 pages. It'll be great.
Travis, the man, the myth, the legend.
Had a podcast with Keith Elwin by Travis.
I can't wait. Yeah, the cover will be blank. Elgato no signal, or like insert cover art is what it'll say.
It's the 00 with Travis staring at you.
The life
camera
and
has
times of
stayed.
Travis Murray.
Every page
Elgato,
in the
no
book
signal.
would be numbered 00.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get out of Triple Drain. Scott, what was your biggest surprise of?
Okay, I have
2023?
2 biggest surprises. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit.
Okay.
One of my biggest surprises was that the Elwin designed Bond 60 wasn't a better game. And I'll put it as, I think it's a solid game. It's a solid game. It is definitely a vanity piece that you're paying 2 to 3 times what the game really warrants. I played it. I thought it was a lot of fun. But when I look at the price tag and say, I can have 2 or 3 games for the price of this, I'm not sure that this is for me. So that was my biggest surprise. Given obvious limitations for having I think the theme should have just been the classic, just because it was a 1960s vibe on the game. It also felt a little bit retrofitted they have the wheels in it, but it's still, I think I would have got the same pop by not even having the wheels and just having a screen with the fake wheels like Beatles does. So that was a big surprise to me. I anticipated that having a longer lasting effect.
Okay.
The second thing that surprised me, we had, what was it, five plus games that were announced right around TPF.
Oh yeah.
And Foo Fighters came out of the gate kind of hot, but then cooled down to, I would say, what I would consider an average game. That's not an insult. That's just an average game. So of those 5 games, Foo Fighters was the most successful, which turned out to be more of an average release. So there doesn't seem to be a monster release that came out this year that was obviously, this is the game that you need to have long term. This feels very much like an in-between year where a lot of stuff happened, but nothing that's going to make it into my collection for long term.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I know people talked about 2021 that way, that it was just kind of there was no standout. And then 2022? No, it was the other way around. 2021 was Godzilla. It was just obvious. And then 2022 was kind of I'm in that. I see what you're saying, because honestly, this year, the, Tppy, like pin of the year, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. There's no, it'll probably be Foo Fighters, just because Stern's the biggest. There's probably the most out there. It's the game most people have played, but I get it. I see what you're, those are solid surprises. Yeah. Josh, what surprised you?
Scott stole mine with Texas Pinball Festival and the releases, you jerk.
Ooh, sorry, man.
Nope. I actually did have another. I think the biggest surprise was seeing Barrels of Fun come out of left field with Labyrinth, and the response to it and the professionalism around that game for a first release. It's outside of probably Wizard of Oz, which I wasn't in the hobby when that released, so I can't really attest to that. But this has got to be the best, like, first game ever shown by a pinball company, and I've seen handful of pinball companies start up in the last decade.
Well, it's almost like a 2-part thing. It's Barrels of Fun is a really big surprise. The team that's there, the people that are involved, the way they've handled themselves, the communication, being, outside things, getting involved with, tested that YouTube video, a gazillion views, like David Van Ness being super responsive on Pinside. It's just like that company coming out of nowhere. Nobody knew it was coming, and then they've done everything right. And then the second part of that is Labyrinth. Like, Labyrinth is actually, for a first game, is really, really good. The layout's good. The art is awesome. They got good toys. The build quality is, I've had one here. I did not lift the playfield one time that I had it here. And that game was a show game. That was a game that already had hundreds and hundreds of plays from Chicago Pinball Festival. Didn't lift a playfield one time. So there's, that's a very, I will agree with that.
You can send your check to Joel at.
Yeah. No, David knows. He's already sent me. I streamed his game, 3 times. So that's at least, so much
partial
money.
Ownership of the company now, right?
Yeah. I passed the stock. I just want stock. I just want stock in the company.
Okay. Yeah. But little known fact is that Joel's actually one of the heads of the trolls on the topper.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Is this true?
All right. No, that's good. That's a solid surprise. All right, Travis, surprise us.
All right. I got a surprise that I think you guys will all agree with. Kind of is a big surprise, but then kind of not when you really think about it. I would say the amount of times that Stern keeps re-releasing games, including games that are last call.
Yeah.
Like, that's surprising. Such as, like, Stranger Things wasn't last call, but there wasn't many that was sold back in like late 2019, early 2020. I think there was less than like 600, 700 premiums that even went out. Now they're all coming back. I think Guardians of the Galaxy, the last call came out for that for over a year ago. And then they had a second last call for it. And then in August, they said that Iron Maiden was last call. And now there's actually a build date in 2024 for it. So that's not last call. And then on top of that, coming out with these anniversary editions with Elvira, with Jurassic Park. Like,
it's almost like they're killing the elite market.
That's surprising. Like, they've done different editions, of course. There was a 40th for Elvira, but I think it's just surprising seeing all that come all at once. It feels like it's happening an avalanche in the past 6 months. It feels like more than the first 2 quarters of the year. It feels like it's all been on the back end of 2023. And it's kind of, I don't know if it's throwing the market into total chaos just yet, but that's interesting. And then the bigger surprise too with that is closing out games. I was very surprised by that. Was not expecting that at all.
You're saying selling games, selling those turtles,
like closeout, like waiving, waiving
Okay,
MSRP.
Rush shocked me because
Rush shocked me as
that
well.
was still okay. I understand the theme is for Tom and me and probably about 50 other dudes. But
it's more than that.
Dozens
of
you.
It won
dozens
Game of the Year. So that's like
no, it did win
2,000 votes.
To that.
Speaking of Tppy, it did win Game of the Year last year, and it was a very solid effort, and the code was great. The layout was still good. It was challenging, but it was good. But it really shocked me that they I don't know who ran more, the original Stranger Things run or Rush run.
Oh,
because
it would have to be Rush, I would think.
However, I don't feel and it was a better receptive game. And considering that it's not like it came dead on arrival, it was the reception was out of proportion with the theme. And so I was pleasantly surprised that it was a great game and a theme for me, but they didn't keep running it. And that surprised me. It kept getting relegated behind Elwyn's next rebuild.
Yeah. No.
Supply and demand, I guess.
Well,
absolutely.
I think what's interesting, I mean, Travis, you're saying the fact that, some of these games, they're still making them. I think part of that, though, is, a lot of the games that are currently available are all in stock. Like, so many distributors have so many games in stock. So it's surprising that it's like, there's already a good list of options, but guess what? Stern's going to make old games again, too. So let's add to those options. And that's going to be tough from a distributor standpoint, because now we've talked about dynamic pricing before, how there isn't any. So it's like you've got just this banger of a pin, like a Godzilla or a Jurassic Park, and that's having to go up against whether it's Rush, Turtles, or Venom. Like, how do you? Or I remember when they announced Venom, there were still LEs. There still are LEs in distributors' hands. So distributors are holding on to these Venoms.
A lot of LEs.
Yes.
In I stared at them just the other day. There's a lot.
Yeah. Are you trying to intimidate them? Get out of here?
No, I'm trying to convince people they need to start buying it because Daddy needs a new car. Please.
You said, I remember it came out, that it was like the day that Jurassic Park 30th edition came out. You're like, what? Like, that game is beloved.
Yep.
And it's an LE, a second version of an LE. All the bells and whistles, all the prettiness, and it's the same exact price as a Venom LE that's sitting here.
Yep.
And
I told you guys,
Elvira.
I told you guys immediately, Venom is
Done.
DOA. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And we've had that before. Like, I've shown people pins in our showroom, and people that are brand new to pinball, and they look at Godzilla, and they're like, "Why is this so much different than the other ones?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can tell. And people aren't dumb with their eyes. Like we talk about, they can tell what looks interesting to them, so
people aren't dumb with their eyes, but what
I'm saying people, I
know it just, yeah,
especially if they look at Tom, they're not dumb with their eyes, they're doing the right thing. Look at Tom.
Oh boy.
But that's
the
like
whole
my
reason
biggest surprise.
Guys.
It's the constant releases and combined with the closeout. Like, I was shocked that Star Wars, the pin, got a closeout price because it's Star Wars.
It's still selling, actually.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can't get into specifics. So I'll just say from my end, I'm very surprised that a lot of the only one I'm not surprised of is Ninja Turtles. Like, when I see that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. For a rock pin, though, like,
Turtles, though. I will say, though, what I have enjoyed is the fact that the price of Turtles has come down. I've actually had people reach out to me that finally pulled the trigger on one, and they like it. They're like, this game's hard. You understand it's hard, but like, the code is good. Like, it is a fun game. It is once you get in the house, instead of going on to a bar and losing $1 quickly and being like, screw this game, Now it's in your house. Now it's time to dive in, figure out the shots. It's actually a very fun game. So I do think more people are experiencing it now that they're on like clearance. But Tom, do you still have your turtles or you sell it?
Yeah, I still have.
Yeah. See, it's a good game. I don't know. I'm glad it's being talked about or people are playing it now, maybe even for the first time.
Okay.
At least you're finding a bright side in the closeout pricing.
Okay. I do have a follow-up though.
Yeah.
Considering we have had another year of sales in pinball, and a year ago, you were still having a hard time finding games. Does it surprise you that now, if you want a game, it's available? If you want a game at a discount, it's probably available. Does that surprise you that in a year things turn so quickly? And what does that say to the overall health of the industry?
I know Travis could talk about this a long time.
Joel,
This is what he thinks about all day.
It's I think it comes down to how much do I want to say publicly and give away all the
Right.
sauce.
And so that's why I just throw it out. I mean, this is obviously
Yeah.
Travis's day job. Like this is our hobby. It's Travis's day job too. But we can all have a gut feel about how the market has changed in the last year, and we can talk freely about it. But I'll take the first lead on this. It surprises me at how quickly it changed. It didn't. It seemed like over about 6 months, we went from got to get a game to, you know what, hold, you can wait, and maybe if you hold off, you can get it. So this makes me concerned about the overall state of the industry, because if buyers who used to be historically have been LE and premium buyers, which I would argue that Tom and I have been in that category. Tom actually I see a lot of LEs behind him.
all I got.
Yeah, if we, man, humble brag. If I have started shrinking back and saying, you know what, I used to be an LE, I'm probably more of a premium buyer, and maybe I'm a premium used buyer now, you are eroding the people who are willing to buy a game. This is the car market, right? You're eroding the people who are willing to buy a car, take the hit, because that's how the industry works. You shouldn't be able to sell used things for more than new in box things, because that tells me a margin is left on the table. But if there is a segment of the population who are eroding, and I know I'm a small segment, but is that enough to concern the industry? Because it is a supply and demand market. And if the supply is way outstripping what demand is, then does that have a ripple effect back toward manufacturers, back toward their ability to, they built these huge manufacturing facilities, and do they have to pump the brakes on what their facilities are because they're putting out too much? They still have overhead. They still have standards. They still have to pay the electrical bill every month. They still have to pay the rent every month. And what does that do for the next 1-2 years of the market? Because I'm concerned. I'm concerned that we are going to see some companies and probably some dealerships that are going to be in crisis and are not going to be able to meet their overhead and may have to close doors.
I would say that that's pretty much spot on. I mean, I've been telling you guys, I know in our Triple Drain chat, I've been saying it since summer of 2022. You can see it coming. And that just comes from looking at the analytics, seeing what people are searching for, seeing what the consumer habits are. You could see it coming at some point, because obviously raw materials and everything catches up. I think what's going on with pinball is that there is something that's foundationally broken on for the end consumer. Like it's obvious it's there, and there's a lot of variables that are going into that. That's both on the manufacturers, it's on the dealers, and it's on consumers. I think it's very much it's like a whole Venn diagram of everything happening at once, and I think it's a cumulative thing. It's not just like one single thing why it's happening. It had to build a lot over time. And I think it just goes back to, like, you're talking about LEs, Scott, right? And I know, Tom, you've discussed LEs too. So it's kind of like, I think what pinball has really kind of lost out on recently is that their core offer, which always should be the LE in general to help push all other products, I think they've kind of lost it with that. They've kind of lost the narrative with that being their core offer, such as understanding how to increase demand. Like, it's not just the supply and demand. You have to know how to increase the demand for your product.
Yeah.
And that goes with just like, why is it valuable to somebody, right? You have to have a perceived value. And when you look at it, when it comes to LEs, you got 3 different types of people, right? You got the ones that are going to be all in on every LE. You got those that are going to be on the fence about an LE. You got those that are completely out, right? So number 3 doesn't even matter. But how do you get number 2 back in? How do you get people to stop filtering from number 1 to number 2 that were always buying every LE and now they're just on the fence? That's what's happened. So your core offer always has to come down to increasing demand and then controlling supply. That's what you have to do. So I think obviously if we go back down to 500, I think things kind of right its ship a little bit. But we're very much dealing with an industry that is entirely built around price sensitivity. It's all about finding the lowest possible price for a premium product, find the free shipping, find it tax-free, and you keep doing that for a premium product over and over and over again. Guess what happens when you have to hike up the price?
Mm-hmm.
You get pushback. And those people are out. If they're buying a product, if their whole entire value prop for a product is pricing, you're going to lose long term. That's just what's going to happen. It's just like the pros and premiums. They didn't even keep up with inflation from what the prices were in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And the industry has no idea that even happened. They still look at the premiums and they think it's too much. It's actually, premiums should be closer to $10,000. God's honest truth. Pros should be closer to $7,800. And people don't realize that that's where the material's at. So it's like, how do you come back from that? And I don't know. I don't know if it's possible because you have to sell out the LEs, right? To make your pros and premiums even more desirable for people, right? The people that are on the fence about it, that weren't going to get the LE anyways, what happens psychologically if you see that the LEs sold out day one? Like, it's a frenzy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody starts talking about it. And we're not seeing that, right? So we have no way to extend out the lifetime of these products anymore without that. We severely need that.
No, that's all really well said. What I will say is, from a distributor standpoint, or not a distributor, from a manufacturer standpoint, you obviously need to push the value of what you're doing. Not once again to shill, cha-ching, Elton John. What I am seeing here is like, this has everything. It has rad cows, it has art blades, it has a topper. It's all installed. It's all there. It's all ready to go. So I understand $12,000 is a lot of money, but at least I feel like it's there. And that's something that Barrels of Fun did this really well for that game to be fully loaded, speaker lights, everything. It's like, okay, I'm getting value, or feel like I'm getting value. Spooky does it too. So we've talked before, it would be awesome if Stern stepped up the LE a little bit, made it not only do less of them, but also put more in it, make it a little more something.
But then the price goes up.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully they can dance around. I don't know. But then distributors, what can a distributor do? That's where it sucks when you're talking about trickling up. Previously Stern, they were selling all their games to all the distributors. They didn't care. All distributors, gimme, go. Well, now all of a sudden there is pushback from distributors. Like, I can't take it. I cannot take any more. That's where we're at now. So how do we help out the distributors? I see how Stern would do the clearance sales, or allow there to be clearance sales to help distributors. I don't know that answer. Hopefully they can find out a way to appease, but the reality is there's a ton of distributors out there. Some of them, this was a hobby. This was a way that they could enjoy it, make a little money on the side. Not so much anymore. So unfortunately they might not be around
not only
anymore.
that, if you take that into it, that's where you end up in a situation to where a lot of people are flipping games, and it's not flipping games for above MSRP.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. If you go on any marketplace and you see the serial number blacked out or not available, that's a game that's most likely getting flipped.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that kind of got out on some of the groups to where somebody was saying like Stern made them stop and stuff like that. And it's, if somebody is reselling games over and over and over again, it hurts the ecosystem of that area. Well, not only that, it drives down pricing like crazy.
Well,
It's not healthy for an industry.
How crazy is it? Because you pointed this out to us the other day. What was it, like a week or two ago? Some guy had openly admitted on comment section in Stern
On
Pinball's
Stern's Facebook.
on their Facebook saying he's like, yeah, I pretty much I resell and flip from distributors, and I had to cancel so many orders because I can't flip them now or something like that. And it's like, you have a guy admitting he's not he's breaking that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've talked about that too. When you see somebody post like, "Oh, I bought this game for a friend, and now they don't want it," and it's like, here's the box, not opened, crossed out. Like, I mean, and that happens. It's distributors buying games, reselling them at prices they shouldn't to somebody else, so that they can legally resell because it's their game now. However, it is what it is. So, but it's kind of, I don't know. I would say as a pinball fan, what can we do? Not talking Travis, this is his job, but what can we do? We can buy the games we want to buy. We can buy the games we want to buy. It is interesting. When I got into the hobby, Turtles shortly after that came out. And to me, I was like, why would you ever buy a new in-box game when you can get them cheap or used? But the reality was a Dream Theme came out. I wanted it, and I wanted it as soon as possible. So I actually splurged and bought it new in box. And at the time, I knew I could always resell it and lose a little bit of money. We're kind of back at that point. Unfortunately, some games you're losing a lot more money than you want, but luckily you can trade stuff. Like I know, Tom, you just recently traded away your Godfather, stuff like that.
Godfather.
Yep. And it's crazy you got James Bond, a game you had sold previously, but like that game has come along so much.
Bond has
But I got the premium version.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have two friends who they both we have pretty big collections, and we're all within each other, within a few miles of each other. And both of them one of them bought Bond 60, didn't like it, sold it, bought Bond LE, didn't like it, sold it for Foo Fighters, then sold Foo Fighters to get the Bond LE back.
Yeah. Code, man.
And because the code has really come along, and that does make it, okay, a reality check. How much is a night out with your family, your friends? Yeah. How much is that typically? Okay. When you factor in food, travel, all that kind of stuff, I'm guessing you're probably looking at $50 to $100.
Oh, more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, fast food is maybe like 75 now. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay. But maybe solo, if I'm just, hanging out with my buddy, what I'm bringing to the table. Okay. Maybe 50, once and I'm talking like a decent, okay, it takes my family $60 if we even go through McDonald's drive-through. Okay.
Yeah.
And so for us to say, well, okay, a night out with friends to a location, we're looking at food. If you're drinking, you're looking at drinks, you're looking at all that kind of stuff. You're looking at easily dropping $50 to $100. And if you can't get into your mind, hey, if I buy a game and have it in my home, and even take a $500 loss from what I paid for it down there, that's still roughly 5 to 10 evenings out with a friend. And if you get the same sort of level of enjoyment, then that's actually money ahead in my bank account. So
I lost a lot more than 500 on Godfather. I'm just saying.
Okay. Now,
what are you?
Okay, that was a Ferrari, as we know. Okay, so.
But how do you feel about that? Like, you lost a decent chunk of money on Godfather. Are you like,
there's a lot of other games where I'm way ahead, Joel?
Yeah. So exactly. So you're not like,
at least at this point in time.
But do you have any like ill will towards JJP or like any reservation to buy another game? Like,
yeah, maybe some. I mean, maybe a little bit. Okay. I mean, I don't want to keep buying games and take a $4,000 loss.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to how quickly
with the atmosphere, just like we talked about, when you train the majority of consumers to be price sensitive, it's damn near impossible to have an expensive premium product last a long time in those conditions.
I understand the games are gonna, you buy a new in-box game, you're gonna lose some value. Like Scott was saying, $500, $1,000, maybe even $1,500. But if you're talking like $3,000 to $4,000, that's a bigger
deal. That's a bigger deal.
That's like a pretty damn good Bally Williams game, maybe a B title.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
enough. That's
or-
enough 14 right there.
Yeah, something exactly. So, you're talking about a whole pinball machine.
Well, if you want to do
I can
the
afford that loss.
yeah,
Okay.
but $4
I
grand.
can't.
I don't know if
No.
everybody in pinball can.
No, yeah.
Well, Tom's hit the nail on the head right here, because think about it, guys. If we get back to what a core offer is for a product, right? It's increase the demand for it. So if you don't have an extreme amount of demand for a game that's already expensive, what's going to happen to that price?
Mhm.
Very quickly. Yep. It's going to bottom out fast. And if that keeps happening to people that are always in at the
Mhm.
beginning, and they
Yeah.
start to get tension and friction, and they're not wanting to keep losing that much money, what are they going to do? They're going to stop buying new in box. The whole
Yeah.
thing comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, Travis, maybe the numbers of LEs need to be dramatically.
Yeah, you have to
increased.
change something. And a lot of it is too, is who are selling these games? Are you trying to sell just on Facebook a $12,000 to $15,000 product?
Yeah.
Like, are you
Yeah.
marketing it to as many people as possible that are searching you on Yahoo, Google, YouTube, wherever you could?
Did you just
Right,
use
there-
Yahoo as a search?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Google.
That's a
might
little-
be-
Yeah.
do-
How
look it
about
up.
how about your AOL keyword? What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So here's just quick business 101, right?
Right.
If you are not readily accessible on a Google search result in the top 10 when random guy, girl hops in, types in pinball sales or buy pinball machine, if you're not top 10, then you have a very niche market. And you are definitely in the mom and pop, this small potatoes category. And if you are wholly relying on a single avenue to market or sell your product, then you should be very concerned. A quick analogy. Right now, there's been a lot of stories about Disney kicking out people who are third-party hosts. So people want to go to Disney World. They don't want to spend the $500 an hour that Disney charges to have one of their hosts take them around. And so there have been these third-party hosts that have kind of in that gray market, the blacked out serial number market, where
I should have thought of that. Damn.
yeah, where they get hired out and they go for like $150 an hour or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's been a big news story lately that they have gone and they've tried to badge in their annual pass and they get, blue circled, which means, hey, there's something wrong. And they basically flagged them for trespassing and kicked them out of the park.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this has been a big news story because a lot of people, all of their eggs are in that basket. That is all they do. Disney is their life and they want to just go and host. And hey, if they can make $1,000, $1,500 in a day, go gathering people around, fine. But once Disney looked at that and said, yeah, we're not letting you do that anymore, what are they going to do? They can't just say, hey, we're going to do the same thing for Knott's Berry Farm for Six Flags. It's just not going to happen. So if this is my long way of saying, if the only way you're selling a premium product is on Facebook, you should be very concerned about your business.
Yeah, I was. That's a really good point. That's crazy about Disney too. That's crazy, but just because all I'm talking about is Elton John. What I think is interesting is this game's not selling right now. But is it because people think JJP, you buy it, you're gonna immediately, the moment you buy a JJP game, you're out $2,000. Like people have that idea. Like, is this gonna be the hottest used pinball machine? Like as soon as people go to sell this, like, are there people that are like, I'm in when I get a used one for $2,000 less?
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, but look at. I mean, yeah, maybe you're doing like the pirate scenario where,
Okay.
these things are $20,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
But look at Godfather. I mean, Godfather didn't sell that great, to my knowledge. And
Toy Story.
It's
Toy
Yeah.
Story.
Toy
JJP,
Story.
the number one thing is price. It's
Yeah.
the perception of
exactly.
it's basically if you're comparing their version, and I know they have bells and whistles, and they probably have a little bit more build of material than maybe a Stern. However, for the end user, the perceived value for an LE or premium or platinum or whatever it's going to be, let's just say the platinum version of a JJP game, the equivalency is the premium version of a Stern. And so people are going to equate those prices. And unless there's something that takes you beyond the premium version, and whether or not that's fun, quality, whatever, then people are going to generally go to the lowest price point. And you have to say
Absolutely.
the best option right now with JJP is probably Elton John. It's probably Elton John. That's probably their best game right now. And you add, okay, should I get that or should I get a Godzilla? Which is the best offer with Stern?
Yeah.
So the
I'll
price
add
difference.
something to that,
Okay, go ahead.
Scott. Just also availability of getting the game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because JJP, I mean, they're good at getting games out the door, but they don't do it like Stern. I mean,
Yeah.
Stern gets them out quick.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Well, to tag onto that, I have a buddy here locally that he's been in on Scooby-Doo since day one, but he didn't get the Bloodsucker edition. He got the standard edition. So
Whoa,
he's at the
one
end
of
of the
five.
line.
One of
Yeah,
five.
he's at the end of the line. And
It's an
here
LE.
he is. He hasn't I feel so bad for him because anytime over the last probably 6+ months, he could have gotten a used Scooby-Doo Bloodsuckers edition for cheaper than what he is prepared to pay for his standard edition.
Right.
But he's trying to be like a loyal person. Like I said, I was going to buy it. I'm going to buy it. But when you have games like this, it's just, what do you...
Don't do it. Like I will tell anybody out there, as somebody that sells games, don't be loyal to something that costs you money in that way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because we're all here to make a profit. Like, yeah, I love pinball and all that, but we have to sell, right, to stay in business. Or I'm going to love pinball while being unemployed. So it just doesn't work like that. So
Yeah.
I would always recommend to everybody out there, like, don't feel a sense of loyalty to anything other than your family. Like, do what's right for you. Don't feel forced to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars. If it ain't right, it ain't right. Don't be afraid to walk away. I mean, that's the main thing. Like, I say this as somebody that sells these things. Like, I don't want anybody to ever feel pressured that just because they do have a non-refundable deposit, that there's just no way out, you know, and they got to buy this pin. Or like, I've heard of people taking on a bunch of pins like in debt with credit cards that are 15-20% interest. It's like,
wow,
come on, you know, it's like, let's keep this under control. You don't have to be forced to do anything.
Don't
but
put yourself in the poorhouse.
Right, exactly. Well, Joel, you do touch base though on what gets dangerous for these things, and that's where, you know, it's tough for Spooky. That it's obvious that they want everybody to funnel up to the CE, right? You can look on their website and you get that feeling when you see what the cabinets look like for both, you know, TCM and for Looney Tunes. It doesn't look anywhere near what the CE is for the Bloodsucker and for the standard. And plus, you're all the way on the back of the end of the line.
Yep.
Right. So they're obviously wanting to funnel everybody up there. So that's just, it's interesting to see the different types of companies, how they go about getting people to buy their top of the line product and buy a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, because I think we just see vast differences from how JJP does it, how Spooky does it, and how Stern does it. Like, they're three incredibly different companies.
Spooky probably should have mixed that up a little bit. That's why Stern does a little bit of a get the pros out there, get them quickly, get them out, then do LEs. But they've started mixing them up and doing like a little bit of pros, a little bit of LEs, a little bit of premiums. And so they are catering to all the market, because it's one thing having the product available versus, okay, you can get the awesome thing 2 years down the line. It basically is unavailable. Let's make that unavailable. So,
but we're also trying to compare strategies between, you know, Stern, a mass manufacturer of pinball, versus Spooky, who's literally a boutique pinball company that's in the name, boutique. So
you can't call Spooky a boutique anymore. I'm sorry. I mean, they're putting out as many games as JJP is. I would
They're
They're
think.
putting out a lot.
They're putting out
Probably.
a
I
lot of
think-
games.
Probably,
they're
yeah.
doing well. I mean, they're
Yeah.
but I mean,
I'm just saying, compared to Stern, it's hard to
Oh,
say.
of course. Well,
Yeah.
Okay, no
you
one
could say the
compares to
same
Stern.
thing about
Exactly.
American or JJP,
CGC.
Yeah.
CGC.
Yeah.
CGC probably makes the
Stern-
least of all those.
Stern's
But
the
they're-
giant, man. I mean,
Well, they do it right, releasing their pros when they do. Because
Yeah.
you see all the launch parties, that's very like strategic marketing to
Yeah.
get it on location,
Get people
advertise
playing
it,
it.
get as
Yep.
many people playing the game and talking about it.
Mhm.
badges.
Yeah. Well,
So-
it's, I think I would go ahead, Josh. You
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think to wrap it all up with what you guys are saying is like, it's going to be an interesting year going into 2024 because of everything that we've talked about. Like, we're a premium luxury item, yet we have basement bargain buyers trying to drive down the price as much as they can so they can get it on clearance. And it's a really weird dynamic, and it seems like the manufacturers are feeding into that with closeout deals and stuff like that, and just not positioning themselves right going into a few and it's really weird to me too, because like Stern has been doing this for 30 plus years now. Like, they've been through the ups and the downs of all this. I mean, 2000s almost closed their door, but like, we're kind of back to that point of like, what is 2024 going to bring market wise when we have so many that are refusing to buy now because they're just ripping us off versus I'm just sorry, I'm saying that as, I'm not saying that as loser kid, I'm saying that as like, that's the comments I read
You're
online.
projecting.
Yeah.
You're projecting
Yeah.
what the buyer's saying in their mind.
Correct. And so it's just we've created a really weird environment going forward for pinball, and it's going to be interesting to see who sustains and who ends up having to close door. Not only distributors and dealers, but if manufacturers can even weather this. And I already see that some of them really can't. I'm not going to start pointing fingers. We don't have time for that. So
Sure. I mean, I will say 2023, it's been a fun year. It's been a good year. There's been a lot of pinball that's been putting out in 2023. I do think all the companies are kind of pushing each other to be the best that they can. Are all these companies still going to be around in 2024 at the end of 2024? I don't know. But are all the distributors still going to be around? I don't know. But as somebody who's really into pinball and loves pinball, luckily there's a lot of games out there that you can buy. You got a lot of different options. You can buy them new. You can buy them used. It's still
And
there.
where would you buy those games at, Joel?
Who's paying me? I don't.
Well,
Joel, this is where you just say
obviously it's
flipping out
because
flipping out pinball.
Yeah, I mean,
because you're on-
geez,
you're on
what
the
I-
pinball
I-
network, yeah.
I
Zach's been
literally
behind on
lob
his
him
check.
a
I know. I
baseball,
just my commission
and he
check
misses.
is just.
Yeah.
He just looks at me. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to
Yeah.
say it.
Okay,
feel
Loser
Just
Kid
show
is
it.
sponsored by Flipping Out
There we
Pinball.
go,
So
there we go, there we
Loser
go.
Kid.
Okay,
The
yeah,
Loser
yeah,
Kid
yeah.
portion is brought to you by Flipping Out Pinball.
Yeah,
Contact
perfect.
Zach and Nicole Minnie at Flipping Out Pinball.
Yeah.
Bye. Ding.
Bye. But I'm just saying it's if part of this hobby though is a thought of I do this and I get to make money while I do it, you might need to like readdress that.
Never buy a pinball machine expecting for it to hold value.
Sure.
Like that's what I would recommend
Yeah.
anybody. Even if you buy an LE. Like if you bought a pinball machine from somebody and they've told you, yeah, this will hold its value for
Yeah.
you, like I wouldn't trust it. And it's not to say it can't.
Yeah.
There's certain variables where it can, but don't have that be your driver, because guess what happens there again?
Right.
You're so
Sure.
price focused. You want to buy low, you want to sell high, you want to go back and forth. Like, it's meant to be a toy
Mhm.
for adults. That's not a XXX adult toy, except for Tom probably at some point.
Tom's
But
a
still-
toy.
But still, it's a toy for us to play with, and so it should be played. And I get it. There's people that buy the LEs. It's an art thing. It's a flex thing, and it stays in their man cave and all that. And we've seen that tons of times. But when you look at premiums, you look at pros, you look at everything else, like, just buy them to play, have
Mhm.
fun, and buy it when the time's right for you. If the time's right for you is to buy new in box, and you happen to be the type of buyer that needs free shipping, there's companies out there for
Yeah.
you. If you're the type of buyer that wants to wait till it's used, yeah, there's plenty of opportunities out there too. If you're the type of buyer that just needs it immediately, no matter what, yeah, there's dealers out there for you with that also.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the beauty of it.
I think another thing too is we need to keep in mind, like, the sky's not always falling. Like, I think a great example of this is
Yeah.
Bond. Bond had to been like one of the roughest out of the gate releases, but almost a year later, it's being received very well. People are loving it, and people are loving where the code has went. But it took about a year for us to get to that point. So
I get you. Well, let's we're approaching the 2-hour mark. This is super long for you guys. I know, Loser Kid, you guys are really good at that one. What I love is the feedback that we get, Triple Drain. Some people are like, can you make a longer podcast? And they're dead serious. They're dead serious.
4 hours.
Yeah. And then there's other
thrown
people
around.
that are like, I can't, it's too, whatever. So it is what it is. Let's go ahead and plug it up. Scott and Josh, if you want to go for it, plug away.
we are Loser Kid Pinball Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us there or on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever else, YouTube. Hit us up at Loser Kid Pinball. Leave us a comment. We've received a lot of great positive comments out of all the shenanigans these last 2 weeks. There has been a couple negatives, but I want you to understand, like, it's like a 10-1. And so just there's a lot of people that want to speak their mind, but they just can't, I guess, or they don't want to, or yeah. Anywho, but the point being is, if you want to hit us up, that's the way to hit us up.
Be safe, be positive. Thanks.
No stabbing anyone.
Travis, plug away.
My camera worked.
He did it.
The whole entire time.
He did it, guys. He did it.
Who had the bet for full show? Oh, I have
It
no
is a
one
Christmas
here.
miracle.
Wow, we all lost.
Actually, Josh, you lost because your camera fell.
Imagine how Elwyn feels right now.
Yeah. That's what it took. It took getting one of the greatest pinball designers of all time on our podcast, and Travis just falling apart for him to step up his game and figure out how to actually use this.
You know what? He actually said, "Get behind me, boys. I got this."
Yeah. Jeez. All right. Is that your plug?
Oh yeah. Listen to us on Triple Drain Pinball Podcast too. Forgot to plug that.
That's actually a valid plug though, because people are hearing this on Loser Kid.
Yeah. And Loser Kid. Listen to Loser Kid podcast and come over to my neck of the woods, YouTube, the Pinball Company. Just watch some stuff on there. I'm not going to sell you anything. Just watch the videos. You guys will get me a Christmas bonus or something like that. So give me a solid.
Chill. Yeah, wonderful. Tom, plug away.
Fox Cities Pinball. Hey,
All the
I
things.
like it.
Yep.
Okay, and what does Fox Cities do?
We stream pinball.
Okay, teach you how to play.
It's a lot of tournament streams. He does it incredibly well. Tom's way too humble. If you want to watch good
500 hours
people,
the last year.
600.
600. See,
Tom.
I even forgot. It was 600.
his YouTube, he throws up he just subscribe to him on YouTube. There's a lot of good content there, and then also live, watch it on Twitch. He's partnered. He does a fantastic job with all the tournaments he streams.
He is the best partnered tournament streamer in Wisconsin.
Hands down. Hands down. Yeah. And I am Joel. I do the Flipping Out pinball stream every Wednesday night from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Check us out on YouTube. All of our past streams are there from this year. And then obviously here on Triple Drain. I think we're all on Silverball Swag. Check us out for merch there, both Loser Kid and Triple Drain. And what I will say, guys, is this was a lot of fun. Everybody all of our listeners, thank you for being a listener. Everybody have a wonderful and fantastic holiday. It's been a great year. And Tom, like always, you get the last words.
I got to go get Neil. Bye.